All right, so the next thing we're going to do here, because we're dissecting a few things so that we hopefully have a better idea what's really going on under the hood. We've seen a lot of things so far, but the other thing we haven't really talked about is the setContentView. This is an important piece of our Android development of creating the application because it allows us to create a view that we can actually see here. So this is the view that we're talking about. And like I said before, it's a setContentView. You pass the R, the majestic resource file class, and we say access the layout folder as we saw, and get the activity main, and we get that there. Okay, that's another very important thing. But the cool thing is we can always change what is inside here depending on what is it that we want to show the first thing the users open this application. In fact, I can come to layout here, say right click, I'm going to say new, I can create a resource file. Okay, so if I come down here, I say layout resource file, create something like that, and I can name something. Let's say I want to say another layout. See, very interesting naming, but nevertheless, that's totally fine. So I want the root element to be the constraint root. The reason why is because I want to be able to see the constraint layouts that I can actually use. Everything else is great. I say okay. And all of a sudden you can see here now we have this constraint layout that is inside of our view, new layout resource. And there it is. Okay. So if I come here, make this a little bit bigger, of course, I can add a button just like we did before. Put that in the middle like that. Okay. I can put constraints if I wish to do so as well. In this case, because I want everything to be in the middle, I have to also put constraint to the bottom as well there. I can double click and change the name of it to say something else, to say something, hit enter, and there we go. Now, how do we then view what we have here? And before we go even further, look at this here. Now it says hardcore string, say something should be in a string. Okay, we can fix that. We know how to do that. We can come down here and say fix and say something. That's fine. Say something, say okay, and all of a sudden our problem is gone. Meaning, if we go to strings, now you can see say something is showing here. That's awesome. Now, how do we then show our new another layout instead of the activity layout, which is what we already had? Well, simply, I can come down here, I can say layout like that, dot. Now I have all these different ones. I have another layout, which I just created. Hit enter. If I save this and run, say something is now showing. All right, there we go. So we can actually change the layouts that we want to be shown here. Now you may say, okay, how do I then access this button here? Well, we'll do the same thing, right? I can come up here and say, for instance, private button, new button, like that. And of course, let's go ahead and import our button there by Alt plus Enter for window. Okay. And now we have this new button here, just like what we did before, right? So we can come down here. After here, I can say new button is equal to find view by ID r.id button, like that. And it seems like we haven't really changed or given an ID to this button. Well, it is the ID that was given automatically. That's fine. Button like that. And coming back here, we have the button there, put semicolon, and doing it the old way, I can say new button as such dot set on click listener, say new on click listener, enter. You can say log d like that, change this to something else, new button, and I can say hola. All right, save and run now. Once again, I should have probably clicked on the refresh there, but that's fine. And now if I go something, go to our run, I should see hola is indeed working. But remember, because it's all contextual, I can no longer access the money text like this, the ID. Why? Because the layout that we are setting here for our activity is no longer the activity main.xml, which contains the money text and the other buttons. All right, so there we go. Now you know how to create different layouts and call them inside of our setContentView, and that is very important indeed. All right, so there we go, and we'll talk more about this stuff. I just wanted to give you a little bit of introduction for those of you who are a little bit more too curious and want to know everything. All right, folks, I'll see you in the next video.